The hills of North Georgia are riddled with railroads, trestles, and tunnels used to facilitate the movement of goods between southern industrial towns. As fortunes changed, some of those railroads were put into disuse and were dismantled, but some remnants still exist. On today's episode of The Cemetery Detective, we will study the cemeteries around the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia railroad line, and we will also explore this abandoned railway tunnel. I'm driving in the vicinity of the old Union Station. Union Station was demolished in 1972. However, this was the northern terminus of the tagline as it exited Chattanooga through Alton Park and onward to Gadsden, Alabama. No trip through Alton Park and St. Elmo would be complete without a stop at Forest Hill Cemetery. Here, some of the most notable personalities in Chattanooga's history are buried, such as John T. Wilder, Joe Engle, and Jackie Mitchell, the girl who struck out Babe Ruth. Burnt Mill Road in St. Elmo is a very interesting section of the tagline where the trains were mere inches away from oncoming automobile traffic. I'm in Pleasant Hill Cemetery, where there are a number of elevated grave coverings, including these two fantastic contoured examples with inverted inscripted hearts. If you look on this side of this grave covering, that's a fire ant mound. After a couple reorganizations, this railway became known as the tagline in 1922. After a couple more reorganizations over the next several decades, the line was eventually abandoned and dismantled. However, there are some remnants still in existence, such as this crossing of State Route 193. I'm in Coulter Cemetery, and I'd like to share a few interesting aspects with you. First are these two grave sites mounded with quarried stone. Though there are no inscriptions on these particular grave sites, they probably date to the mid-1800s. You do see this type of burial occasionally in cemeteries of this region. Do you see this mound of dirt? This is a fire ant colony from the genus Solenopsis. You will see these in almost every southern cemetery you visit. Beneath this crusty outer layer are tens of thousands of fire ants ready to pour out and attack. Solenopsis ants have three basic strategies to deter you from messing around with their colonies. Some will bite you, some will spray you with formic acid. I believe this variety have a stinger that will inject venom under your skin that burns like fire. If any myrmecologists are watching, please chime in to let me know what kind of ant you think this is. Now, unlike that brave wilderness guy, I am not going to stick my hand in this fire ant mound. However, I will break it apart to let you see all the fire ants that are inside. After a brief lunch stop at the Pigeon Mountain Grill, I'm on my way to Estelle Cemetery in the heart of North Georgia mining country. I'm in Estelle Cemetery near the old tagline. In fact, the tagline runs along the valley floor at the base of this hill, on its way to the tunnel at Pigeon Mountain. Estelle Cemetery served the mining communities of this area, and though by 1924 much of the mining had dried up, Estelle remains active. In fact, it's very well taken care of by local community members, as well as a Civil War Grave Preservation Society, which comes here to perform maintenance. As I look into the valley below, I can almost hear the train coming through the mountain. This is the Pigeon Mountain Tunnel. It was completed in 1891 and was in continuous service until about the early 1970s. By 1984, it was abandoned completely. In its early years, train cars carried coal and iron ore through this tunnel, but in the later years, they carried steel from the Siskin Steel Company. And yes, passenger cars did run through this tunnel also. The tunnel is approximately 1,700 feet long. I can hear a steady stream of water coming from the inside, but it's really dark in there. I don't know what to expect. I can't wait to explore the tunnel, but that'll come later. I'm in Daniel Cemetery in the middle of a huge cotton field, and I found two traditionally Southern burial practices. The first is the extensive use of curbing around most of the grave plots here, and that's fairly common. The second is something I first saw at the Association for Gravestone Studies annual conference in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and that's the practice of scraped earth burial plots. These piers are the last significant structures of the southern end of the tagline. The train crossed here at Yellow Creek near a beautiful waterfall. As gorgeous as this scene is, a tragic train accident happened near here in 1924. Gadsden, the southern terminus, lies 20 miles to the southwest, but before I go, I'm going to explore this waterfall. I've made my way to Gadsden, Alabama, and to the best of my understanding, the train entered the city at the junction of Tuscaloosa Avenue and Owls Hollow. The train station, Atala train station, I think I have that pronounced correctly, was a short distance from here, and the train made a final stop at that station in 1971 during an exhibition trip. This has been a fantastic journey tracking the tagline. Now I'm going to visit a few cemeteries in the Gadsden area. I'm wandering the lush greenery of Alabama City Cemetery. It's an interesting cemetery. There are a few woodmen of the world here, as well as quite a few flat, flush-mounted grave covers, unlike the elevated ones I saw this morning. It's hard to believe that was just this morning. It's been a long day. I'm tired, ready to head home, but there's one more stop we need to make. Thank you for sharing in my research of the cemeteries around the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia Railroad line. If you enjoy my cemetery research, be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube, but more importantly, leave a comment below to let me know of your favorite cemetery. Maybe I will visit it one day. Check me out on Facebook, my website, thecemeterydetective.com, and my new Instagram channel. Now, without further ado, let's explore this tunnel. Okay, I've made it to mid-tunnel. The hike is going well so far. I'm not sure if you can see me. I do have this flashlight. There are quite a few drips in the ceiling, and I'm trying to keep my equipment dry. I can see light ahead of me. I should be out of here in just a few minutes. Well, I made it to the southern portal, safe and sound. It was a little creepy in there considering I'm alone, but definitely well worth the trip. Thank you for joining me in this cemetery research adventure. Oh, by the way, while I was inside, I did some light painting photography. If you would like a copy of one of my photographs, be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment below. Also, if you're a railroad fan, I have made a Google Earth map of the tagline from Chattanooga to Gadsden. I'll be happy to send you a copy. Once again, just subscribe and leave me a comment. Thanks again. I look forward to sharing more cemetery research with you.